Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. I am all over the place right now trying to find the best lighting for my videos and see what I can do. So right now I'm sitting in front of my window, obviously, with the blinds down. Anyway, I will get this figured out. But for today, we are going to be talking about a foundation that I have never heard anyone talk about before, and that is the Studiomakeup Perfecting Finish Foundation. And here it is right here. If you have watched my videos before, or if you go back and look through the history of them, I do a lot of reviews of things that I get in my BoxyCharm box and my Ipsy subscription. And over the last couple of months, we've received a couple of palettes from Studiomakeup on the go, and I had never heard of that company before. So in doing those videos and in doing research, I went to the website, and they said they were sold in some stores, including in Canada. So I asked them for a list of where their products were sold. They sent me a list, and one of the places was a Rexall, which is a pharmacy here in Canada, that I had in my town in Ottawa. So as part of my research for that, I went out to that pharmacy, and it was sort of, you know, when you go to drugstores and there's like the makeup you always have at drugstores, the Maybelline, the L'Oreal, things like that. And then you have sort of the nicer sections, and in some places you have like Benefit or the Balm or those kinds of things. Well, in this one, they had a Studiomakeup on the go. Sorry, it's just called Studiomakeup. The palettes were the on the go Studiomakeup section. So when I was there, I noticed the foundation that they had, and I thought, you know, I'm always looking to review products that there aren't a whole lot of reviews out there on. I did enjoy their palettes. I still reach for them quite a bit, and I thought, well, let me pick up a foundation and we will test this on my channel. So I picked this up, and I'm going to talk a little bit in this review about the company, a little bit about the product, and then we're going to do a first impressions test through the day to see how it wears. So let's talk about Studiomakeup. There is not a lot to talk about. It's really hard to find information on them. So you can go to their website and get information there. But apart from that, I mean, a lot of the research that I do is trying to find other information online, Google, stuff like that. But if you just Google Studiomakeup, you get information about makeup that people use in studios and television and things like that. So you actually don't get a whole lot of information about this company. It's just very hard to find. So the information that I got from them was from going to their website. And they have all kinds of cosmetics products. Basically, the whole line of any kind of cosmetics and makeup that you would want, they have. But they don't really have much of a point of view. It's one of the things that I look for is what makes your line of cosmetics special? What makes you stand out from all the other ones that I can get? And they don't really say a lot. I mean, I have their website just open here. They have a whole About Us section, but it's a lot of filler words. It's like, we want women to feel good. We want to bring the latest cosmetics. But there's just nothing that really tells me anything about them. Like their goal, they say, the goal is to deliver a unique beauty experience because that's what happens when you go studio. That tells me nothing. So there's not a lot to say about the company. This foundation is $30, $30 Canadian. I think it's also $30 US, but it was on sale when I went to go get it. So I actually got a little bit of a discount. And then when you add on Canadian taxes back again, it ended up being about $30 tax included for this foundation. So if we're talking about price points, it is 2 times or like a third more expensive than your drugstore foundations will be. If you're here in Canada, drugstore foundation can cost like $15 to $20, something like that. But it's not as expensive as something you're going to get at Sephora, because at Sephora, you're often paying like $40 or $50 for a high-end foundation. So this is kind of middle of the road between drugstore and Sephora type products. So if this is really awesome, it's not a bad price point. You get 1 ounce of product in here, and there are 17 shades of this that are available. So it's actually got a pretty good number of shades. They do appear to go very deep in their shade range. This appears to be their lightest one. If you actually look on the website, this looks like it is light pink. When you actually see it in the bottle, it seems like, you know, more of a regular beige skin type situation going on here. This is called Petal Rose. So I think it has pink undertones, but it's not super strong. It's definitely not as strong as it looks on the website. So if you are buying off the website, I would be a little bit concerned about how true to life those shades look. In terms of what they tell you about this foundation, they say that the Perfecting Finish foundation is buildable and adapts to every skin type, leaving skin with a silky finish and feeling of absolute comfort. It's made with spherical silica. It creates an optical illusion to reduce the appearance of wrinkles and leave skin fresh and glowing. I would be happy if it reduced the appearance of wrinkles. I am in my 30s and I do have like some wrinkles here and around my mouth and things like that. It says for application, of course, to put their primer on first, which I don't have, and that you can put it on with a brush, a sponge, or fingers, that it's buildable and you can add layers until you get to the desired coverage. This is a silicone-based foundation. The first ingredient in this is cyclopentasilicate. I did not say that right. Cyclopentasilicate, silicone-based. Let's just say that. This is a product that is made in the USA. It has a 12-month shelf life. That is everything that I have to say about this foundation. So if you want to see how this applied onto my face and see some check-ins through the day, just keep watching. I'm gonna give this a good shake. I actually tried originally testing this, I wanna say 2 weeks ago, and my camera was not cooperating with focusing or lighting or anything like that. So I originally did open this already and pump it out, but didn't actually get a chance to use it. But I do remember from the first time I pumped it out, a bunch of liquid without any pigment in it came out first. It was really messy. So I'm hoping that was just starting out the bottle, and good to know if you choose to get this for yourself, but it's good to give it a good shake. So I'm going to use half my face with a brush, or put on half my face with a brush and half with a beauty blender. You do get a nice little rounded pump on this. It is 1 fluid ounce of product. I'm just gonna start with having it on my hand and then put it on from there. So it did pump out okay that time. It's pretty thick. Let's start out with the brush side of my face. The color seems an okay match. Sort of like to stipple on to start with a brush, and then blend it from there. I do have a primer on already. It's my Cover FX Mattifying Acne Fighting Primer. So far this is looking very glowy. So sort of start with stippling and then do some short strokes. It's maybe a little light for my face, but I do find since my face has a lot of redness, usually paler is better. Oh, yeah, it looks extra pale like this because this is getting the light, but it's actually not too bad when you look face on. So it feels a little on the thick side. I mean, it's a little hard to tell because this light is so bright around my camera that it kind of reflects everything. I don't think it's looking bad in terms of the way that it's settling. It does have a dewiness to it, and it is pretty high coverage. If we look at this side of my face, it seems to have really covered all the redness and a lot of the freckles as well. So let's try the Beauty Blender side. Start with just dabbing this on and then blending it out. It's definitely lighter coverage on the Beauty Blender side. I might just build that up a little bit. Just in the center of my face. I find for me, if I concentrate the foundation in the center, then, you know, you kind of get most flawless looking in this area that people tend to notice the most, and then you can lighten it up towards the outside for a more natural look. I mean, I don't have a huge amount of acne to cover. I have a couple spots here and there, but for me, it's a little bit more about evening out skin tone and giving a nice complexion to my skin. So there we go. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit and turn the light down so you can see how this looks. So it's a little on the light side, and because it's all still a little shiny right now, it seems to be showing up a bit more. My pores are looking okay. I mean, this tends to be the pore section of my face. I do find on this side the pores look a little bit more highlighted, and because it does have a little bit of a dewy finish, that highlight is showing it off a bit more, which, you know, I don't really want to show off my pores. That's not what I'm trying to do. I do think I like the Beauty Blender side of my face. Surprising, it seems a little less luminous on this side, which means it's not doing the shininess off of my pores quite as much. So I'm going to go and get the rest of my makeup on, and then I will do some check-ins through the day and we will go from there. So I'm back after doing my makeup. Everything went on top of this totally fine. It seems to be getting even darker out right now behind me, which is crazy. I got the foundation on at about 9 o'clock, so we're gonna call that the start time for this. You know, it's sort of toned down the shine a little bit when I put a bit of Cover FX setting powder on top of it. So I'm now gonna get on to my day, and I will give you some check-ins along the way. Hi guys, so I am doing a check-in on my phone at just after 1 o'clock, so about 4 hours into this foundation, and it's natural light out here. So it is 4 hours in and it is looking good. I went for a walk this morning out to a coffee shop to do some work, so I was walking, it was misting rain a little bit, and I was getting a little perspiry because I was wearing my big parka even though it wasn't that cold out. And it's looking good. So if I had to be really picky and look for any faults at this point, my forehead is maybe a touch shiny and a little shiny around my nose, and maybe a little bit cakey there, but that's just me trying to be picky. Otherwise, I really like the way it's looking so far. So that is this check-in, and I will be back to check in again later. See you soon. Hi guys, it is now 8 hours after I put this on. It's just a little after 5 o'clock, and I thought I would do a check-in because it is starting to get a little messy. I would say it held in really quite well until about the 7-hour mark. At 7 hours I looked and I was like, well, my forehead's getting a little shiny, but not the kind of shiny that would bother me going out with, just a little dewy shiny. And then I checked my makeup just now, and now it is looking oily. So I think you can see in the camera the shine on my forehead, but also the shine here that I'm getting even just on my nose there. Let me zoom in a little bit for extra fun. So yeah, you can see like the shininess that is happening there. So what I also found is that crease just a little bit right here at the end, and it broke up a tiny bit on my chin, which does tend to happen for me. If I wanted to at this point, I know that I could powder onto this and bring the shine level back down. So this is the kind of foundation that if you were wearing it through the day, you might want to throw some pressed powder into your purse or blotting sheets. I don't tend to use blotting sheets that much. And then you could just sort of like put the puff on, or your powder or the brush, whatever it is, and I'm sure the shine level would just go away. So I didn't powder aggressively today. I used a little bit of my Cover FX setting powder just on a brush. What I will do sometimes with foundations is take my Rimmel Stay Matte powder on a more of a puff or sponge and press it into my face, and then I find that the shininess really holds off all day. So let's talk about my first impression thoughts on this product. I have some pros and some cons, which makes me hesitant to say that this is a buy. So let's talk about that a little bit. In terms of the value that you get for this foundation, I think it is a medium-high coverage foundation. I do think it is very buildable. So in terms of value, I think you are getting fairly good value for this. I mean, it's higher than drugstore, but less than Sephora. So in terms of value for a foundation, it's pretty good. But value is really based on the performance and the cost of the product. I have not tested out a huge number of foundations. Let me just put that out there. So I don't know how this compares to drugstore, how this compares to all the different ones at Sephora. I tend to use my my L'Oreal True Match foundation, and I really like that one. I do not find that I get oily like this when I use that. And it is about 2/3 of the cost of this. But at the same time, I really liked the way my makeup initially applied over this and the way it looked for most of the day. It applied really nicely. It is buildable. It looked good with both the sponge and with the brush. I do find that this feels a little bit heavy on the skin, but I did a heavier layer of foundation than I usually do to give myself fuller coverage. But every time I looked at myself for about the first 5 hours of the day today, I was like, yeah, this is looking really good. Like, it just seemed that it made my skin look really smooth and soft, everything layered really nicely on top of it in terms of my bronzer and my blush and my highlight. It just all looked really good. So on the pro side, I think it is a good formula. I think it is buildable. I think it gives you a lovely look to your skin when you first put it on. It's a little bit on the dewy side, but you can powder that down a bit if you want. I think for pros, you know, things layer really well on top of it. I think they have a huge shade range, which means that you are likely to find something that fits you quite well in this. Although as a con, as I mentioned earlier, on the website, it doesn't seem actually very true to life. So unless you find these in store, it may be hard to get your actual shade. It applied beautifully, it blended beautifully, and you know, it stayed on through the day. So in terms of the wear of it, it's not rubbing off, it's not doing anything like that, it's just getting a bit oily. And that can be addressed in other ways. So on the con side, it's a little bit pricier as compared to drugstore, and I did get oily, and there is a little bit of a heavy feeling. As I said, it doesn't feel like a high coverage foundation that feels like nothing. You do feel it a bit, especially when you touch your face, like you can feel it there, but I try not to touch my face that much when I am wearing makeup. I am going to continue to try this with a lighter application of the foundation, with a heavier application of mattifying powder over top. But I think I am going to come back to this. I think this is fairly on par with my True Match in terms of really liking the way it looks when it goes on and how it makes my skin look. So my first impression, there are a few flaws to this, but overall I really like it. Like, if I had a meeting in the first 5 hours of my day that I want it to look good for, I would definitely use this. And if I was planning on wearing this for like a 10-hour day, I would just throw some powder or some blotting sheets in my purse with me and not worry about it at all. Like, I felt like my makeup looked so good this morning when I first put this on. So that is my review. If you liked this, please consider giving it a thumbs up. If you have tried this foundation before, because I have never heard anybody mention products from this company, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. And if you have not subscribed but would like to do so, please consider subscribing. You can click on my face at the end of this video, or I am sure there is a subscribe button somewhere below here, and we will keep doing product reviews together. Thanks so much, guys, and I will see you again soon. Bye.